Hello, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. My name is Masashi. I am so excited to be with you right now. This is our first look programs. So CAAMFest is happening right now. We will have 4 first look programs this weekend. So I hope to see you at future ones. We wanted to start with a epic splash, and that is what you are all here to learn more about. It's very easy for us. These first look programs was an opportunity for us to celebrate and to let you all know about some amazing films and programs that are coming your way. So this is exclusive. You all get to meet some of the key people who made this film and future films that you'll see in this first look series, and you'll get exclusive footage. You are all some of the first people to have seen that. There is another clip later in this program, so stay for that. Also, if you have questions for our talented crew who made this, there is an opportunity underneath the player to ask your own questions. So start those, and later in this program, we will answer those. For now, I want to bring the talented group. These are some of my favorite people who made Hummingbird. First off, we have Tanuj Chopra, the writer, director, producer. Hello, Tanuj. We have Sheetal Sheth, the lead actress and producer. We have Megha Kadakia, also producer for this. First off, how are you all doing? Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was saying earlier, if this was a regular CAAMFest, we would all be in a theater together and celebrating either before or afterwards. So, but this will do. I'm so excited to bring you all together. You are all very busy right now, so thank you. And I wanted to start off, first off, how are you all doing? You know, we're kind of, I don't know what month we're in this pandemic, but just to start, how's everyone doing?
I'm great.
Good.
I am doing well. I'm as well as anyone can be in the year 2020.
Right.
Tanuj? I got the pandemic haircut, so
I was
that's
right about to say,
everything you need to know out there.
Your hair is, you're winning the hair game right now, which is great.
You're winning the wardrobe game though, Masashi. I love the bow tie. I feel like we're in the festival world with this. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, here up, I'm looking very good.
The elephants are good. Good addition right there. The bow tie and elephants.
Well, I wanted to start off, so, you know, I know of you three, and I know how talented you all are for various films. Some of the big films that I can think of my time at CAAM, I've had the opportunity to play this because of you three, right? Because you're either starring in them, made them, producing them. So, you know, I'm so excited about Hummingbird. It seems different from anything that I have seen before from you three. So I'm excited to see, when I heard that you three were working together, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. So I wanted to start off maybe with a little bit of the context. Maybe Tanuj, you can talk through how the story came to your mind and, you know, what your goals are for this project.
Yeah, I mean, this story is like a natural kind of outgrowth of the conversations and the, you know, dreams and ideas that Sheetal and I have had over the years. We started with a film. We started a long time ago just trying to figure out what to make, and we were really attracted to the horror genre, really attracted to kind of a certain tone and a feel, and we developed until we got to the point where we made a small film called Grin, which actually I think it played at CAAM and around the way. And it was a bit of an experiment, but it was labor of love. I DP'd it. We both produced it. We just did more than what we usually do, and it turned out to be something that kind of surprised us and played at a few horror festivals and won some awards. So it was incentive, it was motivation, it was a cue enough to keep exploring this collaboration. And we'd written a few scripts, and then they kind of were at different phases in different places. We did like a clown horror thing, but this was before Joker and everything came out. And then we had like another kind of sci-fi thing that was cracking, but it just all sort of, the timing wasn't right. And then this script sort of popped into our brain, and it was an amalgamation of all the little kind of story nuggets we put together. And I just went in and wrote it, and with Sheetal sort of and I jamming all the time and actually having brainwaves. And it got to the point where we felt like it was time for us to shoot, and it was something we felt we just wanted to do independently and have creative control over it. And we all do a lot of other, work for, all kinds of people, other people. But this was a situation where we could really stay creative and express ourselves.
Awesome. And then Tanuj, can you talk about Megha coming on board and
Well, Megha, we got to the point where we realized, okay, this is really going to happen. We're really going to do it. But we needed a third player who we trusted, who we loved, whose work we were down with, and we knew who would give us like a true creative and insightful third point of view on everything we're doing. Someone to kind of curate and manage us, because Sheetal and I can go into our bubble and then we don't know what the fuck we're doing. And Megha comes in and just is like, listen, this is where we needed that voice. And then Megha's just been on board making it happen since shoot.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and when I think of Megha, we played so many of your films. Tiger Hunter stands out as our opening night film, and also Miss India America. I actually have a Miss India America shirt. I don't know how I got. I might have got it from you or someone, but I wear it a lot, and people always ask me what this film's about. Like, it's one of my favorite films. But for both of those, I think that the passion for telling like a character story is there. So I would imagine that kind of is infused in here. Sheetal, you are playing Lola Laxman. Can you talk about that? How did you prepare, and what is this character, at least as much as you can share right now?
Yeah, I mean, as Tanuj explained, it was very much, a long process in terms of kind of figuring out what this was. So in that space, I was kind of growing within the character and kind of throwing things at Tanuj. I mean, he wrote it and then we'd have an idea and then we'd kind of play with that, or something would happen. And then you get to that point where you are dreaming about the work. And so things would come up. But I really wanted to kind of have as much work as an actor kind of layered in before we got on the shoot, because I knew it was going to be a really hard shoot. I knew it was going to be bare bones. I knew it was going to be a small budget. I knew it was going to be a small crew, and I knew we're all going to have to do a lot of things. And it's hard, and it's not an easy thing to also do that, to do what Lola Laxman does in this film. And so, Tanuj and I made a point when we were developing and in pre-production to connect every week. And I was like, let's just talk about the work like we would as an actor and a director, and take our producer hats off and really make a point to do that. And I think that really helped. I think that really helped ground me and helped us kind of get into a vibe. We also did a few test shoots with Tanuj and I like to do with everything we work on, just to play and get our feet wet a little bit, see what's working, what's not. And I think when him and I, are in our groove, we really know how to kind of work together. We have that shorthand now. But it was really about getting as much work as we could out of the way before we got on set, because as you know, when you get on set, everything, is up for grabs.
When I think of you three with the different projects, I think the natural humor is there in everything, whether it's in the performance or the films themselves. So I'm curious, from what we saw, it's a little ambiguous, and I think it's really intriguing. Did you feel like humor was going to be part of the story?
That's a good question, Masash. I mean, I think like humor's always been a component of what we do, and I'm just naturally funny. I'm just funny. I make everybody laugh. But I'm attracted to all kinds of cinema, and I've always loved drama and sci-fi and all kinds of parallel cinema, and but I think to that point there is a punchy tone in this film. As dark as this place goes, there's a bit of I can't put my finger. I can't say exactly what it is, but there's something that is accessible, a point of view that sees the world in a comic tone. It's about a superhero. It's a graphic novel in a way. It's a comic book. There is that. I think humor and horror sometimes have a similar are on similar sides of a tone equation.
That's great. Megha, did you want to say something about that?
Oh, no. I mean, I was just going to say that it's, Sheetal has mentioned, it's very layered, and it's two sides of the same coin in many ways. And so there are elements that are there but it is it's different. It's definitely different than anything I've been a part of. And I really do appreciate the way that it's been put together and how thoughtful every scene and every minute of this of the film has been talked about between Sheetal and Tanuj, myself, Sheetal and Tanuj, to making sure that it stays on point. And if there is that moment of levity or that moment of comedic sensibility, it comes through. But it's subtle, but it's there. You know, when it is supposed to be there, it's there.
Thank you, Megha. And you know, Tanuj mentioned kind of the process of this film and the history of it. For you, you've already worked with Tanuj at this point, making the short film. Can you talk about what about the film you felt was important for you to participate and join this team? Like what about the story, or as you were talking about with this production, really rang true to you and was something that you wanted to commit your time to?
Well, I remember when Tanuj and Sheetal approached me, I was pretty much going to go to the hospital to have baby number 1.
Wow.
And I was not sure, quite honestly, if I had the brain power and the time to do it the way that I normally do films. You know, I usually don't come in after they've already come together at this point. I usually come in the very beginning. So it was a very unique process for me to come in at the time that I did and do what I did, which was not as much initially, and then it became progressively more as time went on. But it was definitely, for me, it was Tanuj. You know, I had worked with him. I knew his sensibility. And then as I got to know Sheetal, it just made sense for me to join this group because they are so dynamic, and what they put together is nothing that I'd ever been a part of initially. And so it was a unique way to tell a story. And I also knew it wasn't completely done, if that's the right word. That it's still forming and we're still working through some interesting themes that we're clear about, but that we're trying to develop further. So it does feel that I get to be part of the creative process as we're moving this along. So, I mean, I couldn't say no, and I don't think they were going to let me say no.
Nope.
We weren't.
We just told her she was doing it.
Yeah.
We were like, have your baby on set. It's fine.
I mean, I literally was doing pre-production after delivery in the hospital. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
The life of a producer. And Tanuj, actually for Sheetal, you know, Tanuj, you talked about this collaboration, right? Kind of having these different stories, kind of putting them together to tell this story and kind of, you know, it seems like a very creative process. And Sheetal, you know, I'm curious as an actor yourself, as you are envisioning this story, whether it was like story-wise, were there some things that you wanted to explore, or maybe performance? It seems quite physical of a role. Were there things that you, being able to control some of that creative part, wanted to do with this film?
Yes, all of the above. I mean, that's something that when Tanuj and I are working, we're very cognizant of, you know. I mean, there was a joke at one point, I think people on the crew were like, Tanuj just wants everything in this movie. Sheetal's going to do this, and then you'll see when the movie comes out, there's a lot that this character goes through. And you're kind of like, oh my God. But that's what I love about it, you know. It's exciting, it's fun. I really wanted to do something very, very physical. I really wanted to take kind of this genre and kind of take our own take on it. You know, Tanuj and I love this space, but we also have our own take on it. And so, you know, I love the way he works. He also sends lots of references, and he'll be like, you know, text me like, watch these 3 movies. And then I'll be like, oh, I see what you mean, you know? And so there's a really great kind of back and forth about just kind of creating what it is that we want. And I think that what we do, the 3 of us, is something really original. And that's what I'm excited about, is I haven't seen anything like this. And I certainly don't see anything like this with people like us, you know? And I think that's exciting, because I really wanted to go into this space that I feel like I haven't had the opportunity to. And so, yes, we have a lot of control over what we can do. So why not kind of go as far as we can?
That's great. Yeah. And as someone who programs for the festival and a lover of horror, sci-fi, I don't think I've seen something like this. I think it's quite exciting. And why I think I've been harassing Tanuj for many years. I think every time a festival or something comes up, he knows, because I am about 3 months before saying, "Hey, buddy." So we do have a second clip. So I was thinking, why don't we play this? The first one was a little bit of the kind of context, or a little bit of an opening of what this movie's about. Seems like this next one, Tanuj or anyone, would you like to talk a little bit about what we're about to see, and then we can go into that clip?
I think you can just play it. I mean, it's just a moment later on in the film where our character kind of is going through her arc and going through a few a little bit of a change. And there's stuff like VO and this is like the first time you guys are seeing this. It's coming straight out of the edit. There's text on the screen. I want you to see it as raw as it is right now. So that's all I'll say about it.
Well, thank you. I guess to the CAM team, if you want to play that clip. It's kind of amazing. Oh, I think I said this earlier, but I haven't seen these clips, so I'm also kind of processing, absorbing it. To me, I think it's really brave for you all to show these clips a little out of context. For me, it's like a puzzle, trying to piece together what the story is. I mean, I'm fascinated. I think I saw in there a little cameo of Leonardo Nam. If that's true, can you talk about working with Leo? I'm a big fan of his, but can you talk about bringing him on board and a little bit about him?
And it's not a cameo; he's fully in the movie.
Great.
Yes. Tanuj, do you want to talk about Leo?
No, Leo. So Leo is Leo. We met Leo actually on Nice Girls. He was in Nice Girls.
Yeah, that's right.
Season 2, and played a semi-love object for Lena, Sheetal's character, and we kind of started with that, and
we love Leo. Who doesn't love
best.
Leo?
He's the greatest. We love him to death. I'll work with him in anything, and we kind of brought him in and gave him the Bill and Ted's hair. And there's no context here whatsoever. I mean, everybody looks like it's funny. This film's about a little bit about some of the themes are transformation, and it's about a hero who's drawn to this house. And so it's a bit of a pandemic film. She kind of goes into this quarantine. We didn't know the themes would be so relevant today, but Leo kind of plays one of Hummingbird's love interests. And I mean, Sheetal can talk about working with him. They have such great chemistry. And Leo and Sheetal together is not hard to direct. I just turn the camera on and shoot, basically.
Leo's the best. I mean, we all love Leo, and there's a reason why. First of all, he's has so much talent oozing out of him, and I love his process. I love talking to him. I love just listening to him, kind of as we were even talking about the film. And then there's a safety with having someone like that. Obviously, we have a history. We're friends. He's very dear to me, but trusting another actor is really important, and you don't have that all the time. And especially with this kind of film, with everything that we were doing, with what we're exploring, with what we're talking about, there's a lot that these two characters go through together, and you need someone that that is Leo, that you can trust, that is talented, that brings as much value to the screen as anyone, like the dream of what you want. And so when all of us were talking about who would play that part, Leo's name was, at the top of the list. And we were like, we hope he likes it. And he was game. It's definitely, when you read this script, it's a tough thing to wrap your mind around. But he got it. And when he was talking to us about it, you could just tell he knew what we were trying to do, and he wanted to play. And it was really terrific having him. And I'm just so glad that he's a part of it.
Yeah, Leo is wonderful. Just my quick stories. I think I was in a urgent CAAMFest, need someone to help me situation. That happens sometimes. And I was terrified because I thought Leo would be the perfect person to kind of jump in, help with this event. But I was terrified because I think he just started Westworld. And that's where maybe a lot of people know him. And I think he emailed me back in like an hour and was like, sure, let's do it. And he just so relaxed. I was like, I don't know. I will be eternally a fan of his. And I do. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and also, I mean, I think that's also the beauty of our whole crew. Every single person on that crew was game. Again, this was a bare bones project, but most of the key players, Tanuj and I, or Megha, or all of us, have worked with in some capacity. And I think you see that on the screen. I mean, these are like uber talented, Emmy award winning artists, and they came on because, you know, they wanted to make something really unique and special, and they wanted to kind of create and do art. And I think this movie has an artistic quality in it that you don't see often, in terms of like literally the visual layer of that, you know. And so I feel very lucky that so many people trusted us enough to just come and play in this environment, because we have a really amazing crew.
And since you said crew, you mentioned it earlier, Nice Girls Crew. I do recommend people watch it. It's on YouTube. There's 3 seasons?
2 seasons. 2.
Shout out to Christine Kwan, but it's really great. And Sheetal, you're so fabulous in that.
Thank you.
And it's free on YouTube. People can watch it at their own convenience. You know, one of the titles, Tanuj, I didn't mention earlier, was cinematographer for you as well. And as I was watching all of the footage, I mean, there's a lot happening there. It's quite beautiful. And it seems like, so Sheetal, maybe you mentioned references, but it seemed like there are things there. Can you talk about going in the look that you wanted, and maybe other films that a kind of a tone you were going for from or any references to other films?
I mean, you know, it's you know, being able to shoot is really fun with Sheetal, because it's even more shorthand. It's a different kind of relationship, you know, with the camera. We did it in Grin before, and you know, the tone is, you know, Sheetal Sheth fan cam. We just call it Sheetal. But we some secrets. I love the camera. I love shooting when I can. I'm a camera nerd too on the low, and I like to. We paired a really high power, like a really great red camera with vintage lenses, and so we wanted to get a look that had a little bit of texture to it. We wanted to create a kind of a Lovecraftian sort of vintagey feel with that configuration. And I worked with Ileana and Samir were my camera team. Ileana was my AC and Samir was my gaffer, just a 3-person team. And they were just lights out. My focus was always 100% sharp. Ili killed it every single time. And Samir was just so wonderful with the lights. Just how do we create an image with just the minimal amount of things you need. And my other great friend, David Bolin, kind of graded this footage for the screening. So it was we wanted something that what you know, felt like a superhero movie but had more texture.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. You filmed this in 2018, and so you have been editing kind of in post since then. And I'm curious from your initial thoughts, and maybe this is for all of you, but your initial thoughts once you saw the footage of like, this is what the film's going to turn out to where it's at now. And I'm curious if there's been any evolution there, or if there's anything in that editing kind of process where some of the story, you don't have to tell me specifics, but if the storytelling has evolved at all.
Megha should speak on that. She's watched. she probably has more. She can have more objective view.
So I've watched a few cuts in the last couple of years, more than a few cuts, and it's definitely evolved. I mean, we have a pretty dynamic process by which we curate and talk about the content. I think, you know, Tanuj did a first cut, a director's cut, basically, edit that we looked at, and we took it from there. I know Sheetal and Tanuj, by the time I get it, they've like talked about it at least 100 times. So it's taken various forms from every cut. There's like subcuts that I don't always get to see, but I see, like, because they won't share it with me until they feel like it's ready for more opinions. And so by the time I get it, they've worked on it. But and then it's waiting for me to take a look at it and come back with notes, and we belabor each note for hours. So if anyone's worked with Tanuj or Sheetal, it's every point is dissected for hours afterwards. But I think what it does, and what I've enjoyed in this process, is you really get to the heart of what you're trying to show and what you're trying to convey to an audience. And that is, and so yes, of course, it's taken its shape, it's moved in a different, I wouldn't say totally different direction, but it's gotten clear. We've gotten more and more clear with how we're gonna show this film. And we're also more clear on the genre, because it was an amalgamation of a couple of different genres, and we're very clear now what that genre is. And it's a genre, as you know, Sheetal's mentioned, and as you've mentioned, Musashi, that a lot of people haven't seen, you know, in our community. And I think we're really excited about putting it forward with the diversity that that is imbued on the screen and behind the camera. And I think that in itself is a huge selling point, and one that we're excited about taking out to the world. And so, yes, I think there's still, if I'm going to be honest, there's probably a few more takes that are going to happen in the next several months. But I do think there is a really wonderful ending to this, and I can't wait. And I don't think I would have predicted the place we're at today from 2 years ago. So that's really exciting too.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, especially with sci-fi and horror, I'm just so happy. You know, I always tell filmmakers to swing big. Like, if you're gonna go that route, you should just go for it and make it as special as, you know, and personal and unique as you can. From what I'm seeing, it's there. I want to remind people that you can ask questions. There's a question ask box underneath the player. I'm going to start to put some in while I also ask more of my own. But I do have a question from Celine, who has asked, first off, saying this is amazing. How long did it take to shoot? And then there's a question about Sheetal's health recovery, and if that impacted maybe the shoot. No, you can talk about that. I'm not sure what that means.
The shooting days, was it 17 days?
Yeah, 17 days.
I believe. So it was 17 shoot days. And thank you. So for whoever doesn't know, yes, I was diagnosed with cancer during post-production. So, but I'm doing fine. My prognosis is good. But when we say in the last 2 years, a lot of life has happened, between babies, cancer, work, traveling to other countries to work. We've been through it all, and we're on the other side of it. So I am okay. Thank you for asking.
Okay. Thank you. There is a question about the music. I'm not sure if it's temp music, Tanuj, or if that is what's going to be in the film. I love it. I think it's quite epic, and it's got these really great tones to them. Can you talk about the music?
Sure. The music comes from our dear collaborator, Carrie Torgerson, who has done a lot of ads with me, as well as Grin. He did the music for Grin, and he scored the opening. The second piece is just temp right now. It's not ready for him to score yet. You have to give it to him when the film is ready to be scored, so we can score the picture. This is like almost an editing session. I want to talk to you guys about what my next plan is. But, Carrie is very it's actually not really complete until he scores it. He brings out the parts of the story that we know are there but aren't working without his touch. So he's just as integral to the storytelling as any writer, producer, you know, any other creative story person on this.
He's a gem. I mean, he is. I don't think we're gonna be able to make it without him. Like, he's wonderful.
We have a very quick answer from Dan. When will people be able to see more? What is maybe a question about distribution, when you all feel like you might be ready to put it out fully into the world?
We're going to premiere it at CAAM the next time. Then you know, the biggest studio in the world is going to pick it up.
Hey, perfect. But are you thinking maybe next year?
Yeah, definitely next year. I mean, our goal right now is to get it to a really good place, which we're very close, and start those discussions imminently. So if anyone on this chat knows someone who is looking for a sci-fi horror, we're ready to start those conversations, and we're actively seeking those conversations as well. So hopefully 2021 is the year.
And, you know, we've been talking about it a lot, and I think there are a lot of filmmakers who maybe inspired Sheetal and Tanuj about the way you have worked so well together. And I'm curious, for people who are out there who are aspiring filmmakers, but also just kind of in the creative world, what if there was a recipe or a secret to how well you work together, and why you continue to work together? What would that be?
Do you want to go, Tanuj?
It's going to be like a really bad joke, I'm sure. So you want?
I mean, for me, it's, trust. It's really, trusting and all levels, when it comes to talent, as a person, as a collaborator, as someone who has your back. I mean, you need that, and then obviously just respect. I think we all very much, there's always respect. We don't always all agree, but we know we can trust that we're all have something really important to kind of share. And then we end up figuring it out, and I think that is the beauty of just people who are invested in the work and want to make the best narrative. And that's always the goal, and so egos and all that stuff is never been something that we struggle with. It's really about just keeping it about the work.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'll also say that, to me, Sheetal's just a star. She's an absolute star. And it's less about just me and more about, I just want to bring the best out of her. I just want to see, kind of show the world how amazing an actor she is. And I just try to approach that as sharply or as humbly as I can do. And I think that, for me, yeah, we have a collaboration, but it's the actor's work is really what's out there. She's the one taking the risk. She's the one really making this thing as beautiful as it is. So it's a collaboration, but it's also a process of just trying to highlight what I already know about an actor.
That's great. Maybe a question for Megha. As far as, a lot of films, especially feature films, I think they go the route of maybe drama, comedy, sci-fi. I am curious, as someone who loves sci-fi, like, do you feel like that is now there's a market for sci-fi, especially with communities of color kind of being in the forefront? Are there any concerns that is still kind of in development? Can you talk about kind of on the producer level making a sci-fi film?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons outside of working with Sheetal and Tanuj coming on board, is there aren't so many incredible sci-fis. I'm not saying we're the first out the gate, but there's far and few between. And the idea that we can put something of a unique perspective, where inclusion and diversity is front and center, in addition to these incredible scenes that they've developed that we've put together and an overall narrative. I think that's a unique selling point for this film and for the team that's behind it. Again, not everyone's on camera, but we have an incredible crew. We have an incredible cast as well. And that's a unique selling point for sure as we go out to market. And I'm excited about that. I think when we talk about, what we could present in today's world, especially with everything that's happening now, I can't see a better time to release a film like this. It's great. It's a good film. It's not just a good film. Actually, I've said other things, but I'll say it humbly. It's a good film, and I do feel it can make a real splash, and having that right, having timing it right, I think will be really our hardest. The hardest part about this, but I don't think getting it out there will be difficult. So we're excited, and the closer we get, the more exciting it becomes, for sure.
That's great. Maybe during I'm curious, maybe next year for Halloween, people will be dressing as Lola. I do have another question here from TZ. Sheetal, super happy about your recovery. You're a modern day real superwoman. Tanuj, are you currently working on any other projects? If so, what genres? And will Sheetal be in those as well?
Sheetal's going to be in everything I do. I'm currently show running a show for Netflix called Deli Crime. I'm doing season 2 and still on the show for going forward. I also did I'm doing a documentary about Shayna Mehta, the basketball star, through CAAM as well. And that's kind of coming together very beautifully. And that's another thing I'm excited about. But, Sheetal and I will make tons of films, I'm sure, in our life. There's a Google Doc somewhere with 300 ideas in it.
Well, So we talked about, right now, and again, thank you for letting us show some of these clips. You're still in this motion. How can people follow along with your journey and with this film? I'm sure there are people here who are really excited what they saw and can't wait for it to be released in some capacity next year. Any recommendations for people?
Well, they can. So we do have, socials for Hummingbird Film. Obviously, Tanuj, Megha, and I. You could follow any and all of us. You can follow the film's handles. You can find them on our pages. And also, just to mention the other cast, there's Hal Ozon. Obviously, we talked about Leonardo Nam. There's Anil Kumar. And so just kind of stay in the world of all of us, and we'll definitely make sure everybody knows when it's time.
Yeah, and also, by the way, shout out Pavi and Monique, our hair and makeup team, who is just as critical a visual element as anybody else.
And Elena, our amazing costumer.
Oh yeah, Elena.
Yes.
Yes. Everybody.
You talked earlier, we talked a little bit about kind of representation and why this film is so right now, and it's so excited when it comes out. Tanuj, as I'm looking at the cast, there is a lot of amazing Asian Americans and other actors from other communities of colors. Can you talk about, is that important to you? I assume it is. I've seen your other films, and I know that that's something that is important, but can you talk about the casting and as you were developing these characters?
We work with Emily Schweber, a casting director that we also love, who is another part of my process as well. But it's not, at this point, these are just the people I want to work. I don't think of it as representation. I don't think of it as like trying to make a statement of any. These are just the people that I love their abilities, and I want to work with them, and I let the world kind of interpret what it means to them in terms of seeing representation. It's the viewer's exposure to media that will determine if this is diverse or not. I tend to watch films that star these kind of people, whatever you want to call it, all the time. But to me, this cast is selected off their ability and talent as performers, and their warmth as actors, especially, and their abilities as actors, before any kind of thought to representation. And through a lens, my films might reflect some kind of statement, but this is my worldview. So I don't think of it as a something I'm stepping out to do. It would be like it would be a wild thing if it was like an all white cast, maybe. That would be like diverse for me.
Tanuj, you said it earlier, Sheetal is a star. You're such a star. And I do think that having someone that's, just to be able to be in your films like that, that's such a win, right? So I totally understand that. It's funny, I'm looking through the other questions, and a majority of them are just, you all are amazing. Or like, this film is so exciting. So like, there's no questions in there. I'm sure for you all, you would want to hear the enthusiasm from our audiences.
It's so nice to hear, because nobody has seen anything yet. So all of you who are watching, thank you, because we have, and I wish we could see you, but nobody has seen it. So it's just nice to hear that kind of feedback.
Yes, definitely. Well, I think we're kind of out of time. I want to thank you all so much again for participating in CAAMFest from wherever you are. I'm hoping you're all safe. I thank you all again.
And Masashi, thank you for having us.
Yes,
you've always been a
you.
wonderful host to us, and we love CAAM. We'll always be making our pit stops here. Thank you. So, and you've done such an amazing job at your time here at CAAM. I've watched you since you took this job, and it's just, this festival has gotten more and more amazing through your leadership. So
Literally,
shout out to you and pulling this off.
Thank you, Masashi, for always supporting us and any avenue by which we're, working at this. This is so great. And if I can just give one shout out to Soyoon, because because I was delivering a baby and was postpartum, I will say she took on a huge part of this, and we couldn't have done it without her and my team. So I just want to give a shout out to her as well.
Yeah, so was amazing.
Well, thank you
shout
all.
Out Liquor Store Dreams, Liquor Store Babies, Liquor Store Dreams. I'm her beautiful doc feature that should be at CAAM, Masashi. I'm shouting it out to you right now. Liquor Store Dreams.
Well, all right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. But thank you all again. You're going to get a phone call or email from me probably in a month or two about next year's festival. So spoiler on that. But thank you all again. I hope everyone who's in the audience, thank you all so much. Later tonight, we have our opening night film, Coming Home Again. And then this weekend, we have a lot of more first looks if you all want to learn more about other narratives, documentary series. So I look forward to seeing you at a future event. Thank you all again, and I'll see you next time.